My short sermon, I have titled, It's the Little Things. Before I begin, I wanted to ask you a couple questions. I wanted to sort of challenge you and ask you, do you truly care for Jesus? Do you truly care for His church and for people in general? I just wanted to ask this question before we begin. We are all young. We have a whole life ahead of us. Most of us have 2/3 to 3/4 of our life still ahead of us, and there are many choices we can still make in our life. There are still so many paths we can go and turn, and people we can meet, and it is very important for us to make a right choice. And if we make that right choice, our life will be that much better. Whereas if we start letting little things get in our way, if we start making mistakes, and mistakes are good because we learn from them, right? But you need to be careful not to let mistakes come into your life willingly. And it's kind of like, I compared it to kind of like a chess game. I don't know if all of you know how to play chess. Beginning of the game is very important. Majority of the people, they will begin the game with just throwing pieces out on the board and moving them around, and so they get comfortable. But if you set up in a beginning where the position is very advantageous for you, then the whole game will be that much easier. Well, if I refer to our life, if we having so much energy, having so much passion for God, if we start right now and not think, later I will serve God, later I will live out my purpose, that later might never come. And you might just, throw all these years out in front of you on this board, and then you just lose them. You just lose them. And there was this guy in the Bible. His name was Judah. And he was a great guy. We don't know him to be that great of a guy because we know his end. But in the beginning, he was a great guy. Jesus chose him as one of his apostles. It was Judas Iscariot, Iscariot, right? Is that how you say it? And he was even a little bit beyond the other apostles. Why? He carried a different task on the side. He had ministry of being in charge of finances. He was like a little treasurer on the side, Not only was he the apostle, he was also the treasurer. But here's the problem. He's a great guy, but in the end, he ends up in hell. You're like, what? Wait, how did that happen? Being Jesus's apostle, being a treasurer, and ending up in hell. Like, how did that escalate so quickly? Why? You want to know why? Because he loved the wrong thing. He loved the wrong thing. What did he love? If we open to John 12. I'm going to start from John 12, verse 3. There was Mary, this woman, who washed the feet of Jesus with his perfume. And Judas, in verse 4, Judas asked, but Judas Iscariot, one of the disciples, he who was about to betray him, in parentheses, said, why was this ointment not sold for 300 denarii and given to the poor? He said this not because he cared for the poor, but because he was a thief, and having charge of the money bag, he used to help himself to what was put in it. So Judas, here's Judas. He's this great guy, follows Jesus, and everybody knows him as a disciple of Jesus because he cares for Jesus and he cares for the poor people, right? And it's not true. He's actually a thief. So see, he let this little thing took over him little by little. He took a little bit, and he took a little bit from the money bag. He took a little bit, then he took a little bit more, and then he took the whole thing, and he's like, well, nobody noticed, so I could get away with it. And so that slowly became not only his secret sin, that sort of became like almost a habit, right? That's how habits come to be. If you do it often enough, it just becomes your habit. And eventually, what he does is he betrays Jesus himself to make some money, right? And we're not talking like millions of dollars or denarii at that time. We're talking about, you could buy like like one cow for that money. Like how much a million will buy you today? That wasn't, the worth was very, very low. He sold Jesus for nothing, and because Judas loved money. And we all of us, we too have secret sins, and we have bad habits. And these habits, they are either wrong because we do something, or they're wrong because we don't do something that's good. For example, we might not tell people about God as much as we should. There was this guy, I don't remember where he lived, but he had a rule for himself. He's like, every single day I will tell at least one person about God. And once he got in a taxi, I might have used this example before. He got in a taxi and he did not tell the taxi driver about God, and he left. And he got on his knees and he was crying. He said, his soul is on me because I did not tell him about Jesus. So if we feel the gravity, if we feel the responsibility, and we make that also a habit, it becomes a good habit. And we need to develop more good habits than bad habits. And some people like to be silent during worship. I don't know. I think worshiping God is very important. It's very important. Some people, like to communicate during church. If it's an emergency, I understand. But if you have a video game going while there's a preacher up here, something probably wrong. It's probably not right, and you probably need to repent at the minimum. Here's an example, like a bad habit leading like having a trail of things, like lack of sleep. My parents had a habit of going to bed late, so I got that habit. So I would never pay attention in school, and I would hate school because I'd be tired. And because of that, I would not pass a class, not pass a grade school, right? Get a bad job. This is just an example, guys. I have a great job. I love my job. But this is just an example, right? And then you would eventually not even like your life because, just the trail of things. And this is just one little example, of a habit and how far it could trail later on. Like that chessboard, you put one piece forward, and if you're not thinking about it, they're just gone. Your years are just gone, one by one. And so Judas loved them dollars, or denarii, whatever it was back then, and he took some when no one was looking. And people sure love to donate to Jesus. They see miracles right and left, right? They see huge crowd following Jesus. I'm sure they like to donate to Jesus. And Judas was like, man, this is the hot spot. This is the stock to be in, right? So he comes in, and to us these bad habits, they could be anything that you love above God. It could be video games. It could be cars. I know some people that all they ever know is cars, and all they ever talk about is cars, and it's the next conversation is just the next best car. So some people just like to work and money and their careers their entire life, and outside of their job, they're nobody. I know people like that too, and it's sad, I'll just say it like this. If it ain't Jesus, it's pointless. If it ain't Jesus, it's pointless. It'll take all your time. It'll take all your energy. And even if you're working for money, it'll take all your money to make all that money. So in the end, it will not matter. And me and some guys, we were reading some stats, and we accidentally read that Call of Duty Online is at 2.8 million years, it was years of playtime right now. 2.8 million years. How much potential was wasted by the young people? And I'll admit, I put on a couple, dozen hours in there too. No, just dozen hours. I didn't play that much. But it's just very important for us to make the right habits and escape even the littlest bad habits, because they trail on something worse and worse with time. They build too. They grow. And the Bible just says it plainly, where your treasure is, there your heart will also be. So what is it that you love the most, If it ain't God, it's just empty. And I would encourage all of you to, love God above all in your life. Choose God above all in your life. Choose to do His work, whereas in just to work for money, work for a better, lift kit or, coilovers, whatever you like. Just choose God, and don't be Don't pursue wrong things, because you might end up like Judas. He was right next to the Son of God, the creator of the whole world. He was named his disciple. He was in charge of the money that they would use. And he still ends up in hell. That's just sad. And you know what the Bible says about Judas? It'd be better if he was never born. That's how sad that is. So I would encourage all of you not to waste your potential and to truly have the right pursuit. And like I said in the beginning, I titled it The Little Things, because the little things matter. The women will tell you little things matter. Roxy always tells me. And, here's the challenge questions again. Do you truly care for Jesus? Do you truly love him? Do you truly love church? And do you truly love the people out there who need your help?